Slovenian Istria, land and sea. On this sensitive portion of the Slovenian coast, a number of economic activities take place, among which there is also the port industry. The latter creates more than 4,000 jobs and is therefore a relevant factor in regional development, but it also functions as the main engine of Slovenian logistics. At Luka Koper, the company and organization that manages the entire port area, we are aware of the vulnerability of this territory, and we therefore strive to preserve it for generations to come. To create the conditions for a more pleasant coexistence with the port, in the last decade we've invested heavily in environmental protection and established an advanced system for monitoring and managing negative impact. We are following technological innovations and introducing them in practice. We are improving working processes and cooperating with a number of experts. Our environmental system follows the most demanding environmental criteria of the EMAS scheme. We regularly monitor the quality of air and water, the noise levels, the consumption of energy and water, and also the quantity of separately collected waste. Emissions of particulate matter in the port area can occur especially during handling operations and during warehousing of dry bulk cargo. We have taken several measures to limit dusting, and we regularly study the best practices of European ports. We regularly invest in the modernization of warehousing and handling systems. We clean the transport routes and, if possible, we store dry bulk cargo in closed warehouses. Following the example of a terminal in Rotterdam, in 2013 we introduced an interesting innovation on the coal and iron ore depot. We are now using a residue from the paper industry, paper mill sludge, mixing it with water and sprinkling the depot with it. Therefore, what one sees now is not black piles of cargo, but white piles, as this mixture is creating a firm crust that prevents dusting, while maintaining the underlying cargo quality unchanged. We monitor the total concentration of dust or dust deposition in 10 locations in the port. The measurement method is very simple, since we collect dust particles from 1 month in a sample container and we then weigh the quantity of collected sediment. Of course, there is dust in the sample container, but the measured quantities do not deviate from other samples collected in the past in areas where there was no impact of port activity. The presence of dust with particles measuring less than 10 micrometers in diameter, called PM10, is monitored every 30 minutes with the aid of stationary equipment by an authorized organization at 3 locations in the port. The results of the measurements are available to the public on our Living with the Port webpage, and the measurement results are among the lowest in Slovenia. The yearly average concentration of dust particulate in the port of Koper is below the legal limit of 40 micrograms per cubic meter.
Na območju Luke Koper se izvajajo meritve prašnih delcev na 3 lokacijah, in sicer v smeri Ankarana, v smeri Bertokov in pa na potniškem terminalu. Lastnik vseh teh naprav je Univerza na Primorskem, kjer z njimi tudi upravlja in jih servisira. Tudi dostop do podatkov in njihovo upravljanje je izključno iz naše strani. Meritve zadnjih nekaj let kažejo na to, da so koncentracije prašnih delcev na območju mestne občine Koper med najnižjimi v Sloveniji.
An undesired side effect of our activity is also the noise, generated by machines, by equipment and by transportation, including vessels. The level of noise is measured by another authorized organization with the aid of 3 stationary devices at 3 locations in the port, in the direction of the townships of Ankaran, Bertoki and Koper. These results, too, are available on our webpage, and it is interesting to note that we were the first industrial plant in Slovenia to publish our own noise levels.
Na lokaciji Luke Koper že 7 let izvajamo stalne meritve hrupa v naravnem in življenjskem okolju, in sicer na 3 merilnih terminalih, ki so postavljeni na izpostavljenih delih luke, in sicer proti Ankaranu, Bertokom in Kopru. Na osnovi rezultatov meritev hrupa na merilnih terminalih in rezultatov meritev, ki jih izvajamo po celotni Luki Koper, skupaj s pristojnimi službami potem določamo oziroma usmerjamo ukrepe za zmanjševanje obremenitev s hrupom v okolju.
The measurements and noise maps indicate that the northern parts of the city of Koper are the most impacted by port activity. During nighttime, it is especially the container terminal that produces noise, to tackle which we've prepared a noise reduction plan that includes the use of quieter machinery at night, improvements of the equipment itself, as for example, the use of rubber belts that pad and dampen the contact points of the container with the machinery's metal parts, resurfacing of the handling areas, reduced vehicle speed on the terminal, and so on. And as diesel-powered RTGs are the major noise source, we are thinking of their replacement with electrically powered RTGs. The port is situated in the very proximity of the Szkocjanski Zatok Natural Reserve, a swamp-like oasis that represents the remains of the sea that once entirely surrounded Koper. The reserve has become a popular recreational point and has great environmental importance due to the presence of a variety of flora and fauna species. Our activity is obviously profoundly connected to the sea. In 2008, we founded a special unit for sea protection that is responsible of the prevention and elimination of consequences of pollution in port waters, with the situation in port basins being constantly monitored day and night.
Uspešno oziroma učinkovito izvajanje storitev na področju varovanja morja bi bilo brez specialne opreme in ustrezno usposobljene ekipe nemogoče. Luška flota za posredovanje na morju šteje kar 9 plovil. 2 plovili iz te flote sta namenjeni čiščenju vseh vrst madežev, tudi oljnih. Potem imamo v Luki Koper kar nekaj kilometrov zaščitnih plavajočih zaves oziroma baraž, s katerimi madeže omejimo. Imamo 4 skimerje, to so naprave za ločevanje olja od vode, imamo ogromno pivnikov oziroma upojnih čreves ter še cel kup potrebne specialne opreme.
In case of the arrival of tankers or dry bulk vessels, we engage in strict prevention measures. We surround the berthing place with floating curtains to prevent any eventual polluting spills towards the open sea.
Zavedamo se, da se v neposredni bližini Luke Koper nahaja mestna plaža. Zato smo po vseh mejnih točkah Luke Koper namestili senzorje za zaznavanje ogljikovodikov v pogojih zmanjšane vidljivosti. Ti, kadar zaznajo kakršnokoli onesnaženje, sprožijo alarm v naš varnostno-nadzorni center, ta pa potem ukrepa skladno s shemo ukrepanja in obveščanja v primeru razlitij na morju.
Among the specialized equipment at our disposal, there is a probe mounted on the green signal buoy in front of the third basin, which measures the general parameters of sea quality: temperature, turbidity, pH factor, salinity, oxygen levels and wind.
Občasno opravimo še bolj detaljno analizo kakovosti morske vode, opravimo potope, preverimo, kako bogato je življenje pod vodo v luškem akvatoriju. Ugotovili smo, da je življenje zelo bogato, kar dodatno priča o tem, da je voda v Luki Koper zelo čista.
We are constantly upgrading our sea protection system with the latest knowledge and modern equipment. In addition to that, we regularly organize field exercises and drills to test how adequate and how ready our system is.
Glavni cilj na področju varovanja morja v Luki Koper je, da bi bilo nesreč na morju čim manj, da se nobeno v Luki Koper nastalo onesnaženje ne bi razširilo izven območja pristanišča, ter da bi nivo izvajanja storitev varovanja morja še v prihodnje obdržali na tako zelo visokem nivoju.
There are many other green measures in our port. We've been collecting waste separately for years now, also producing compost from the organic waste. We take great care in ensuring that the port's appearance harmonically fits its surroundings, which is why we plant trees in the port. The ones that grow particularly well are the olive trees. Of course, it is also possible to visit the port in person. Besides tours of organized groups, once a year we organize what we call the Port Open Day. A special occasion to feel the pulse of the port by visiting it free of charge, by bus, by bike, and even by boat.